everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of That Sweet Pop. Not only is it episode 20, but this is the Royal Rumble recap. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania. What an incredible show it was. There are a lot of hits, a lot of misses, a lot of people happy, a lot of people completely unhappy. Sounds like a classic Royal Rumble to me. Before we do get into it, though, it'd be great if you can do us a solid. If you're listening to this, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, do the same. You can catch us on YouTube, YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Those likes and subscribes really do help us out a lot. Brad, what a Sunday you had. The Royal Rumble, a UFC watch party, and here we are with 1 million pages of notes, and we'll go through the Royal Rumble. A, how are you holding up? And B, how was the UFC watch party today?
I got my little buddy Kurt Hennig here, so I'm doing pretty well. This is one of my favorite figures right now. It is the AWA Kurt Hennig. So I'm hanging out with him at the moment. And I've also got his little buddy with me, Mr. Perfect. Yeah, those are the guys I'm hanging out with at the moment. Look, I'm pretty tired. I do find that my wrestling figures spark joy into my life, Dion. So I do like to just come into my room and sometimes hang out with my figs. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how figures can spark joy like that. But I'm just really tired, but I'm also really excited about the next hour because this is the first time in my life that I'm able to get stuff off my chest after watching what is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. I believe this is the best event in pro wrestling. There's a lot I liked, there's a lot I didn't like. So there's I'm really looking forward to the next hour. I had a very busy day today at full-time bar for the UFC watch party. Unfortunately, Dan Hooker didn't get the job done for the Kiwi fighters, but Alex Volkanovski again proving that he is the greatest featherweight of all time. So I'm really excited about the next hour, Dion, and talking wrestling with you and the Royal Rumble because I know how much you love this event as well.
Yeah, man, let's do it. The top story, it is the Royal Rumble recap. Now, I thought I was a bit clever last night, Brad. I got home after several hours at a local bar and watched Royal Rumble 1989, just the Rumble match, and I thought I'll go back to back. I'll watch Rumble 90. I didn't make it past entrant number 6 for Rumble 90. I'll give you the hot tip.
Entrant number 6 was Roddy Piper.
Yeah, there we go. Roddy came in. I was lights out. But I will get back to that. I want to get into the cold open of the Royal Rumble. I found this quite interesting. Now, normally we talk about the action, but there's this growing groundswell of fans who are getting a bit tired of Triple H putting himself front and center of the product. And while he's not involved in ankles and he's not part of live events, I did have to chuckle a little bit as he went through that hall of Rumble memories and even asked, "Are you ready?" And of course, there'll be plenty of eye rolling that was going around the world, especially given it was announced this week that he's going to be on the cover of the King of Kings edition
Dion,
of WWE 2K26.
Have you seen the discourse around this?
Yes.
I've had battles online this week on Twitter about this. And I'm like, he's on the cover of a video game, for God's sake. And just one edition now. Like, I know that he's technically on 3 of the covers of 2K26, which is coming out in a couple of weeks' time, March the 8th, I believe. But he's got the deluxe version, which is all to himself, right? Where he's the cerebral assassin Triple H. But and a big part of the game this year, Dion, is the Attitude Era, right? So they've got an Attitude Era edition coming out, and just the discourse on the IWC about how Triple H was a bit player during the Attitude Era and was Shawn Michaels' jockstrap. And like, do people not understand that Shawn Michaels was gone by April 98? And for me, the Attitude Era stems from, I want to say it fully kicked off at Survivor Series 97, right? That's when I think it truly kicked off. I think there's definitely an argument that SummerSlam 97 was really the beginning of the Attitude Era. And, Shawn Michaels was gone by April. So, like Triple H was a huge part of the Attitude Era. He wasn't the biggest star, but he was certainly the best heel outside of Vince McMahon. So I just couldn't believe the discourse this week. Now, as for the cold open, man, it's happening a lot. He's all over the WrestleMania stuff. And I know that according to Dave Meltzer, not everything that you read from Dave Meltzer, I mean, you need to take stuff that he says with a grain of salt.
Really?
He has talked about, he has talked about how TKO want to make Triple H the Dana White of WWE. Now, for those who aren't UFC fans, Dana White is the guy. He's the boss. He's the face of the UFC. Everything runs through Dana. No decision is made that he doesn't have his hands on. And I get, and Meltzer has made the point, whether or not he's speculating or he has it on good word, that TKO are certainly trying to make Triple H the figurehead of this company. And look, man, he got booed at Saturday night's main event. He got booed when they showed him on the screen this morning at the Rumble, where they showed him pre-game. And I have a distinct feeling that when the WrestleMania cold open runs, given all the promos that we've seen, Paul Levesque may be on it. Now, I wonder if we might stop seeing, however, the Paul Levesque walking out to kick off a big PLE and with the Are You Ready?
That's what I'm thinking. I think
his wife might be the safe bet.
Yeah, and look, even in the post-show today, which you wouldn't have seen, you would have been at the UFC event, there was not a rousing reception whatsoever. There was a lot of Y2J chants and AEW chants and all sorts, but I think...
anything come out of that? I haven't seen the post-show, so before we get stuck into what's happened, you're right. I've stayed offline all afternoon. I haven't seen what the online reaction has been to this event, to the creative, or to the post-show. Anything out of that of any note? Was AJ Styles mentioned at all? Like, what was there any storyline?
He was, and let's dig into it a little bit later with AJ. But what I found most interesting was the comment made by Triple H at the post show regarding AJ Styles, where he said, "Look, I've had many conversations with AJ. He is done with wrestling. He will not be stepping into the ring again. I'm not so sure. Let's dig into that." So I don't know if this is an angle. I don't know if there's more to come with AJ and WWE that we haven't really grasped yet, but
I have mapped out AJ's year, which I will run through when we get to that match. How I think this may play out. But let's go. Let's get into it. I'm really excited about this.
The stadium looked great. The stadium was fantastic. Again, speaking of negative discourse all around the community, no one's at the event. There are no people there.
It was the weirdly placed lights that looked like empty seats, don't you think?
They were terrible. To be fair, though, SmackDown did not have fantastic attendance the night before. I imagine WWE would have been a safe bet that the Rumble was going to be much, much better attended, and was. I think that'll quell their fears of having these major PLEs there. And look, I don't know about you, but
there's a pretty big one there next year, mate.
Very big. To me, this felt like the first time there had been a Saudi show where it felt like it was a WWE PLE, not a Saudi PLE.
Fair.
Whatever that means. Look, let's get into our hits and misses. Can you give us 3 things from the Rumble at South, men's and women's, which really worked for you?
I most certainly can. And I've been thinking a lot about this, Dion. So my 3, I want to be positive to start. So my 3 hits, I think Creative nailed it with their winners. Now, I'm not saying that because I may or may not have picked both of those winners a couple of weeks ago when we did our preview show, but I feel like as you're building towards a WrestleMania and you want a little bit of intrigue, you can see both of these winners going in 2 different directions. So I do feel that Liv winning has set up a particular match that I think is almost a lock to happen at WrestleMania now, potentially. And with Roman, what it does do, it creates the wonder if Cody's going to win the title back against Drew and we're going to do Cody Roman, or are we going to get the main event that I think is the biggest match that they can make in WWE right now, which is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So
what's your thoughts with Liv and WrestleMania?
I think Raquel Rodriguez wins the title against Stephanie Vacquier this week.
So do I.
And I think Raquel and Liv, Raquel deserves this, Dion.
Yep.
I think she has been the MVP of the last 6 months. And I think you're creating a massive moment. You can have Roxanne in the middle. You can have Finn Balor in the middle. You can have Dominic in the middle. And I think Judgment Day deserves this sort of potential ending to them as a faction, maybe. So I think Liv Raquel's where they're going. And I think, I thought Liv's performance and the Judgment Day in general, I think they were the star performers of that Rumble with everything they did during it. I really enjoyed the Women's Rumble. Yeah. So that for me was a big hit. I think Creative got it right.
Great.
I really, really enjoyed, Dion, how young / fresh talent were given an opportunity to shine. And by that, and look, there's a couple of names I've written down here. I thought Kiana James was the MVP of the first half of the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, she had a great outing.
She
Great
was
outing.
so energetic. I've never seen her like that. She came out, and I wonder if it's like, I'm getting a 25-minute stay in the Rumble. I'm stoked about this. I'm going to show everyone what I've got.
Yeah.
I thought she looked amazing, and both an outfit, and by the way, hands down to the woman and their seamstresses, because I don't think there was one dud outfit out of all of those that we saw, and I thought they all looked spectacular, and my daughter loved it. You know, at 8:30 in the morning, she's never normally that awake, and she just loved every entrance number coming out, and she get to see a new cool outfit. So full credit to them. So Kiana James. So the names I've got down here is Javon Evans, Kiana James, Obafemi, Trick Williams is a superstar.
Yeah.
Lock it down right now. That boy is main eventing a WrestleMania. Lash Legend, despite the fact that she's got a long way to go, they made her look like a monster, and they can call back to that anytime. And I thought the MVP of the second half of the Women's Royal Rumble was Sol Ruka. And so for me, that was a big hit. They shone the light on some younger talent. And the third hit for me was I thought in general there were some really creative eliminations throughout the Rumble, but I think Braun Breaker's elimination protected him massively, because if you just had a random him getting thrown out, 45 minutes stay in the Rumble, then Roman throws him out or something like that, but he's been protected. He got beat up big time before the match, stomped, all that sort of stuff, and then gets thrown out by the biggest, baddest dude in WWE right now, in Obafemi. I like the fact that we protected Braun Breaker. And it was very, what WWE has been criticized for the last year is uncreativity and predictability. I don't think anyone on their bingo card, Dion McCracken, had Braun Breaker with the shortest stay in the Royal Rumble.
Was not on mine.
No one had that. So I really like that. Now, what I didn't like were Becky and Brock's eliminations. I think they both lacked focus. I didn't really have a problem with LA Knight and Cody Rhodes eliminating Brock, but it was in the middle of frickin' Jey Uso's entrance, his bloody music playing, and if I'm Brock, I'm really pissed. And if I'm Becky, I'm saying why am I not having a bigger role to play in this? I am literally the biggest star you have outside of Rhea Ripley. She should have. Why can she not be woven through and have a bigger role to play? I actually thought that AJ Lee was going to come out and Becky was going to end up coming back and throwing her out, but that didn't happen. That for me was a big miss. I really think they both lack focus. And Jordan Grace, she is your next challenger potentially for Jade Cargill. Don't think she was featured enough. I know she got 3 eliminations, but it was Lola Vice, Candice LeRae, and someone else whose name escapes me. So I don't think she was featured well enough. And the third miss for me is you have LA Knight come out and look like a superstar to the point where I said to my son, lads, I think LA Knight's going to win this.
Wow.
I got that vibe, right? He destroys the Vision, throws them all out except for Logan. And then he gets eliminated by Cody. Is there not a bigger spot or a bigger angle? Can Roman not throw him out or Gunther or something like that? I just felt like Cody throwing him out was a missed opportunity. So those were misses and hits for me. What about for you?
Well, firstly on yours, I largely agree with them. Ivy Nile, by the way, was the other woman eliminated by Jordan Grace. Some of the eliminations felt a bit wishy-washy. Now, look, if this was a sport, being eliminated by Cody Rhodes is certainly nothing to be sneezed at, right? This is the former WWE champion, the recent WWE champion, but I feel like in the Royal Rumble, some of these bigger names, the way that they're eliminated needs to be leading on to something bigger. It just didn't feel like they would be leading on to something bigger in these. But we don't know what's happening in the next couple of months, and I'll get to that. It's part of my misses. Largely agree with it. Also, by the way, Braun Breaker, I also really loved the way that he was eliminated. The fact that this guy flew however many hours to Saudi Arabia to spend very little time in the Royal Rumble. I guess we'll wax lyrical a little bit later as to what we think went on there. Who was the stomper? It was something new, something different. Like you said, didn't go down well with a lot of people, of course. But dude, it never does. In the Royal Rumble.
It was great. Thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it was well done. Look, I'm going to double down on one of yours, on one of my hits, and that is the rise of the new guard. You can't deny it. You cannot deny it. Again, we've got the same list of names, I imagine. Obviously, a huge night for Lash Legend and Obafemi. They both looked fantastic. I think Lash needs to stick with Nia Jax for a little bit longer, although Nia Jax, what's the opposite of MVP? LVP? She the LVP? I think Nia Jax was the LVP. She was clumsy. Her strikes aren't good. I've got a soft spot for Nia Jax. I really do, but she's just not a good worker. And I think if you go back and look at some of these things,
I don't believe in her offense anymore, man. No. Like, I just don't.
Do you know what I think? I wonder if she is concerned about hurting her opponents, given the history that she's got. I don't know if there's some of that, but
I'm tired. I'm tired of Nia Jax. Yeah.
Sol Ruka, again, like you say, fantastic. Jordan Grace.
What a superstar.
She really is. JC Jane had a great showing. Kalani Jordan. Kiana James, Javon Evans. Yeah, real good night. We got a glimpse of the future of WWE, I think, and the future's looking pretty bright. Although there weren't many surprises, I did pop for Brie Bella coming back. I did enjoy Brie Bella coming back. Never in a million years would I have thought we'd see her back in a WWE ring, and I assume now we're heading towards a tag match between the Bellas and Becky Lynch and Laya Valkyria. I assume, Bailey and Laya Valkyria. That'd be news to Becky Lynch. What?
I think we're going to get. It would be. I think we're going to get some sort of massive multi-woman tag team match at WrestleMania. Like, because we saw the art, and you hit the nail on the proverbial last week when you felt that the women's tag team titles was going to be woven in and out of this Rumble at times, and it absolutely was. I think teamwork was a big part of it, and it all started at the top when it was Charlotte and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
And you were pretty close to getting the Iron Woman, because once those two girls come out, one of them's going deep.
Well, my Iron Woman was Io. I thought
you had Alexa. I thought you had Alexa as your Io. I beg your pardon.
We'll come back to those actually soon. I've got them written down. We'll see how we got on.
Yeah. So but yeah, like you nailed it, and I think they had a lot of tag teams going out together. The Bellas went out together, Bailey and Lyra went out together, Asuka and Kairi went out together. So that's really cool, and I think and Io and Rhea went out reasonably close together, right? So I definitely think we are heading for and you can chuck 12 girls in a match in a 6-person ladder. Yeah. Or 12-person ladder match at Mania. I think that's probably where we're heading come WrestleMania, and it gets a lot of really talented girls on the card, and we get a really good match out of it.
Yeah. And the other return that was fantastic, of course, was El Grande Americano, Le Original. That is French. It is not Spanish. You get the point. So it was fantastic seeing Chad Gable back. Also, Powerhouse Hobbs, now known as Royce Keys. It was great to see him in there. Not many surprises, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Now, Charlotte Flair was the Iron Woman. 59 minutes and 49 seconds, 11 seconds shy of the hour. She did come in number one. That was one of the few predictions that I did get right. I often wonder what direction Charlotte Flair is going to go in. You know, as soon as these two hooked up in a tag team, talking of her and Alexa Bliss, of course, you knew that one day that the end would come. I expected it sooner rather than later, but we did see the beginnings of it at the Rumble, right? But I think it was a good way for Charlotte to reintroduce herself, to put the foot down and say, hey, the singles thing, I still got it.
And you know the next part of the storyline, Dion? Alexa eliminates Charlotte from Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, well done. Okay.
And I know I just talked about a multi-woman tag team match. I think Alexa and Charlotte deserve a high profile, especially if Bianca Belair is not going to end up on this card potentially with her finger injury. You need to have a really high profile match. I mean, I think Bianca's still a chance. Jade needs some sort of big matchup at Mania. Maybe they go the Charlotte route, which scares me a little bit. I think if there's no Bianca Belair, I think Charlotte Flair is the right person potentially for Jade Cargill at Mania. But I think Alexa and Charlotte, given the year that they've had, deserve that match at Mania, and I would like to see Alexa turn into a badass heel.
All right, the misses for me, notwithstanding the fact that we just spoke of Chad Gable, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Brie Bella, just not enough surprises. I think sometimes as wrestling fans we can back ourselves into a bit of a corner and equate big surprises equals great Rumble. I think both of these Royal Rumble matches were really solid. The women's I enjoyed more than the men's. The men's wasn't terrible, but we did need more surprises. It just wasn't enough. And look, who knows what's happening with Chris Jericho? Who knows what's happening with 100 other WWE alumni? What are the deals like trying to get these people over for a one-off to Saudi Arabia? What are the plans leading up to WrestleMania? Who's available? Who's we don't know any of this stuff. So I think it's a bit unfair to say they didn't deliver on Y2J. It was never
Interesting.
promised.
You're 100% correct, and I wonder if the odds are lengthening every day that goes by of Jericho actually not coming to WWE and remaining in AEW, still on their roster page, as an example. Look, only time will tell on that.
Yeah.
I would like to double down on your surprises hit. And look, I thought Mr. Iguana was a pretty good chance of making an appearance. I'm not sure Saudi was the right place for that because I don't think too many Saudi wrestling fans watch AAA. And that was sure as hell when La Parka comes out to the biggest no pop of the night.
Yeah.
And La Parka is over big time in Mexico. I think if the event had been in Florida or Indiana or Atlanta, he comes out to a decent pop. And I wonder if that spot would have been better for a Nick Nemeth, a Ricky Saints, a Mike Santana, a Joe Hendry even. I mean, Joe Hendry would have got a huge pop if he'd come out.
He would have, but I mean, you can't book a Royal Rumble to the live audience. Right?
I know. I don't know what La Parka, like Mr. Iguana, you get your AAA coverage, and that I don't know what La Parka been in the. I mean, Kamala Hayes wasn't in the Rumble, for instance. Like, did he deserve some sort of spot there? Maybe with Trick Williams being involved somehow. Like, maybe. So
no Dom, no Finn Balor.
No, and I think the Finn Balor stuff's going to play into a longer storyline, right? Like with where he's going, which is cool. But I don't know. I do roll my eyes when people go, "Oh, it was a wasted spot," because you never really have a wasted spot in a Rumble because everyone by nature has probably earned their rights. But I just think like a Nick Nemeth surprise / Dolph Ziggler would have been a bit cooler than La Parka or a Mike Santana TNA champ. So. Yeah,
which leads me to my second miss, and that was the crowd. The Saudis are a great crowd. They know the product. Man, they're really there for the entrances. They really are, and they were popping for them for the most part, notwithstanding LA Knight, etc. But during some of the key eliminations, the crowds were very flat.
Dead.
Natty eliminating Becky, Brock being eliminated by Cody, and LA Knight again. Yeah, I get it. It was during the Yeet Fest. Even some of the entrances when Powerhouse Hobbs came into the ring, Royce Keys, again, they were very flat, very quiet. And like it or not, I mean, the reaction of that live audience does make or break the epicness of these moments, right? And you'd have to expect that if it was in the US or Europe, some of those moments would have resonated a lot better than they did in Saudi Arabia.
Two things on that. First of all, I wonder if the Powerhouse Hobbs spot is a reflection on maybe AEW's not as big as AEW fans think it is worldwide, right? Like, I don't know if a lot of people in that audience actually knew who the hell Powerhouse Hobbs was. He came out to zero pop and zero reaction. And if he'd been anywhere in the US, he would have it would have been a lot bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, you're talking about the crowd, and I agree with you. I found it very weird, and I've on my way home from full-time bar after watching the UFC, I listened to the Busted Open pod with LaGreca and Tommy Dreamer, and Dave LaGreca was talking about how he found it weird that given however Saudis count down from 10 to 1, it doesn't sound good like you expect in a Rumble with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it was very understated, and he said that took away from the match for him. And like me and like you, Dion, LaGreca's favorite match in wrestling is the Royal Rumble, and I missed a bit, and I had this fear from the moment it was announced that my favorite event would be besmirched by being held in Saudi Arabia, and a little bit of the magic of the Rumble was taken away because they aren't let's be honest, they aren't as familiar with a Lola Vice and a JC Jane and a Powerhouse Hobbs as me and you are, right? They're not, or average Joe American. And so who got the biggest pop of the night for return? It was Brie Bella, because everybody knows who the Bellas are.
Yes.
So that's an example of they wanted the leaders, they wanted the Trishas, they wanted the Jerichos, they wanted the people they grew up watching or the people they're familiar with. So I mean, Brock probably got the biggest pop of the night in the men's Rumble, potentially, when his music hit.
Yeah.
It was huge. Him and Roman. So yeah, that's who they want, and I don't think they gave a crap about Mr. Iguana, La Parka,
Yeah.
and JC Jane.
Yeah. And again, subsequently, that can then impact the way that we feel about the event. And again, don't get me wrong, I thought this was a good show. It wasn't one of the greats of all time.
No.
Again, a little bit of a means to an end. We're not in a period where there's a hot angle that is must see. Again, we've talked about it in the past. We're victims of how good the bloodline was, but it was solid. Which leads me to the third thing that sort of missed for me. And again, this could be a little bit of a victim of past success situation, and that's the lack of clear direction for WrestleMania. I think we've enjoyed the last couple of years when we didn't know what was going to happen. Even a few weeks out, we're still a little bit unsure about some of the matchups, even though there has been a long build because all these storylines get interwoven. But it feels like we're continuing that here with this Rumble. I can't think of any match out of these Rumbles where I think this is absolutely happening. I think we're going to see Obafemi against Brock Lesnar. I think we're going to see Charlotte Flair versus too many names in my head, versus Alexa Bliss. Thank you. I think we're going to see Roman against CM Punk. I think we're probably going to see Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, but I don't know. There just hasn't been those huge moments where a feud really kicks off. They've got this nice long build. As I look at my calendar now, we're still 10 weeks away from WrestleMania. Is
that Randy and Cody for the title? Or
no, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean,
so Drew, you do Drew and Jacob?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, Drew's still involved with Cody. There's a lot of water to go under the bridge, but it just feels to me that Cody and Orton would be a bigger matchup, not for a title, than Cody being in a triple threat for the WWE Championship.
Well, I feel it's impossible. It's impossible to get to that triple threat now. The only way you would get into that triple threat is for either Cody or Jacob to win the Rumble and then Cody or Jacob to win the Chamber and then go, I also want to fight Drew for the title, because Triple H came out during the week and said the Elimination Chamber matches will be number one contenders for the title. So unless you have some sort of schmoz finish in the men's chamber match, it's going to be very, very hard to get to Jacob, Cody, and Drew unless you do that match at Elimination Chamber and then the two losers are completely removed from the title picture, which is how I agree with you. I think Cody and Randy is the biggest match you can give Cody Rhodes right now. And I think, and this is just me throwing it out there, and I agree with you, I don't know where we're going for Mania. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think Cody's winning the belt back in that triple threat match, and I think Randy and Cody's going to be for the title, and Randy will win the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's just from what I saw tonight.
Yeah, but also keep in mind, this is a worked sport, right? So that one-on-one could turn into a triple threat because there's a groundswell of support for Cody and yada, yada, yada. I like 100%. But you've made such a great point about the Mania build. I'm reasonably, and I talked to you about this before we went on air when I sent you a message. I think I'm 99% positive we're getting Braun and Seth. I think Seth they wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that was Seth Rollins that was putting the beating on Braun Breaker before the Rumble. But I don't think they pull the trigger on this angle unless Seth's 100% GTG, injury permitting from here till then for WrestleMania. And I think Braun versus Seth is a big match. Yeah.
Like that it's not a WrestleMania main event, but it's either the opener of night one or night two match for me, where they tend to like to start these Manias off on either night with the next biggest match on the card. Yeah,
well, look, it'll be a no-brainer, right? And that's a very bold prediction by you. I don't know what the time frame is on Seth's injury. I think it'd be amazing if he is back. Again, no-brainer a match.
He spoke about it recently that if everything goes to plan with his rehab, he should be cleared 3 or 4 weeks before Mania. But he said he doubled down on that and he said, look, if everything goes to plan and I have the best recovery, I will be back for Mania, and that's his goal. And I don't think they pull the trigger on that unless they have a plan. And I don't know maybe that plan is some other dude. Maybe it was LA Knight under the mask.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the option. Maybe Seth is plan A and plan B is, okay, well, we'll throw someone else in there.
Yeah. Which is the advantage of having your biggest hate in pro wrestling right now, which is the masked man.
Again. All right, well, let's take a bit of a break. We'll take a breath, we'll regather our thoughts, and then let's go through the four matches of the Royal Rumble. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, my fellow watchers. You are listening to the greatest podcast ever to exist in the realm of New Zealand, on this planet, in this world. I'm the Divine Saviour, and you are watching That Sweet Pop.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's continue this Royal Rumble recap. Before we do, though, hit that like, hit that subscribe again. You know, it really helps us out. All right, Brad, we've gone through a good chunk of what happened in the Royal Rumble itself. Let's go through these in match order, okay? So kicked off with the Women's Royal Rumble match, as has been tradition for the last couple of years. You predicted Liv Morgan. You nailed it. In fact, this isn't a spoiler. 4 out of 4 you got today. 4 out of 4? So Liv Morgan, you predicted to win the Rumble. I predicted Raquel Rodriguez. Liv took it out. Very happy for Liv. Iron Woman, I went with Io Sky. You went with Liv Morgan. It was Charlotte Flair. The final 4, we were okay. Although you got the one that counted, so none of the rest of it matters, right?
I thought Bianca was going to be involved. So.
Everyone did, yeah. The final 4 was Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, and Sol Ruka, which is great. I wish I'd picked that. Yeah, it's a real good call. I had Raquel and Liv, but I missed out on Roxanne and Rhea. You had Liv, and we missed out on Bianca, Rhea, and Bayley. Great Rumble match. Number 1 and number 2. I got off to a good start again. That number 1 was Charlotte, so at least I got that.
How good did Charlotte Flair look? Like her costume, her outfit.
Fantastic. Well, let's do a quick shout out. Quick shout out to the ring gear. And I know it's a little bit strange if you're new to wrestling, and I imagine everyone that's listening to this is not, that we are so enamored with ring gear, whether they're in Saudi Arabia or not. I think back, do you remember Macho Man's neon green trunks?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
My favorite WrestleMania outfit of all time is Randy Savage Ric Flair match where Randy's wearing the gold and black.
Oh, yeah.
WrestleMania 8.
It's such a wrestling phenomenon, isn't it? That I don't care what people normally wear in anything else, but I suppose it's like your home team changing strip.
Well, I used to flip a coin. Is Bret Hart coming out in the all black? Is he coming out in the all pink? Is he coming out with the pink pants and the black top, or is he coming out with the black pants and the pink top? You know, so like, we do these things as wrestling fans. We do these things, and I'm with you. I thought the girls. And they paid for all this themselves. Yeah. They are independent contractors. It all comes out of their own salaries. So I think, and God knows what Charlotte Flair spent, because she had 2 costumes this weekend. So and she looked like $1 trillion, and she looked like an absolute bona fide, dead set, top of the company superstar when she came out as well.
Yeah. I really like Maxine Dupree and of course Chelsea Green's. Ring gear as well.
Ivy Nile looked cool, I thought.
A lot of them did. Like a lot of glitter. I wasn't a fan of all the glitter, but I'm not the one wearing it. As long as they're happy, who cares what I think?
Great start, though, I thought, Dion. Alexa and Charlotte.
It was interesting, wasn't it? It wasn't quite a Demolition 1989 kind of situation, but the fact that they played about a little bit and then were like, let's just see who comes in number 3. I like that.
Yeah, smart. Just on the Women's Rumble, just a couple of notes, and I want to get your opinion on these. I thought there was some really creative eliminations. Like, it wasn't the sort of Rumble where it's clothesline someone over the top rope and they're out, or someone goes outside and then there was a few forearms off the apron, but the Bella's elimination was good. The Bayley and Lyra elimination was good. There were just some eliminations there that I really enjoyed, like Jordan. I know I poo-pooed Jordan Grace earlier, but I thought her eliminations were cool as well. Lash, and I thought Rhea's bump was quite possibly the biggest bump I've seen in a Royal Rumble match, and she took that like an absolute champ when Raquel threw her off. And I think they did a good job creatively, whoever put it together. Normally it's Tyson Kidd that does most of the women's Royal Rumble matches. I thought they did a really, really good job in creating some decent moments for these girls in terms of eliminations. But I think the back end of the Rumble was the best back end to a women's Rumble I think we've seen for quite some time. I know there's been 8 or 9 of them, but I really enjoyed the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought the last 15 minutes was fire.
Yeah. And like a regular wrestling match, right? The make or break of it is the finish. I really enjoyed the finish. I think
The finish was great.
Having the near triple elimination at the end, I thought was great.
And
Chelsea
a
Green,
great storyline. Liv being the bridesmaid twice,
yes,
and coming off on top. And I love the fact they pulled the trigger with her throwing out Raquel. I think that sows that sows the seeds of doubt in that relationship. Raquel looked pissed, and she had just thrown out Rhea, which is a massive moment for her because Rhea's always got the better of Raquel. So I think creative hit it out the park in the last 15 minutes of that match.
Yeah. And in the post-show, and again, you wouldn't have seen this, but Liv did mention, Raquel's going to be fine. She's got a title shot coming up. She's going to be happy for me. We sort of thought there could be an implosion of the Judgment Day coming. It wasn't quite the way I expected it to go down, but here we are. The Judgment Day were great, though, by the way, before that, having the three of them in the ring at once.
Yeah.
It's always such a big part of these Royal Rumble stories, right, where a faction gets together, they team up, they try and smash and destroy. I really enjoyed Chelsea Green trying to join the Judgment Day.
That was cool.
Was it the Judgment Day? No, I'm getting mixed up.
No, it was. She came. Rhea was right at the end, but she came in and she said to Liv, and then they did that little thing where the three of them got in a huddle and then Liv's like,
yes.
Yeah. I think I saw her say, "I don't think so, bitch," is what she said. So, just one gripe about that. I feel like Chelsea deserved more of a role.
Yes.
More of a slimy role. More of a maybe come in, maybe number 8 or 9 and just sneak in, sneak out, like survive eliminations. Because I think the crowd in Saudi Arabia was really behind her. She got one of the biggest pops of the night. So that's my small gripe with Chelsea. And I was gutted when she got eliminated because she's the sort of person you could sneak into a Final Four and you could have the audience just thinking to themselves, could they pull the trigger on her? And you need to create those moments, I think.
She's always so good, no matter what role she plays. And she played the chicken shit heel in this one. And did a tremendous job. She's
do you think Money in the Bank's
superstar.
Do you think Money in the Bank's in her 2026 future?
Man. Yeah, gotta be right. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
But again, there's so many others that deserve that spot.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it's her. What else did we see? Rhea Ripley, the Razor's Edge elimination of Roxanne Perez gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Another great elimination.
It was, but there was a moment there where I thought, I hope Roxanne Perez survives this bump. And she did.
Actually, I think nice. Rhea took a bump at some point early doors where I was like, holy crap, I hope she's okay. I think it was like a floating DDT or something. I can't remember who did it. Maybe Roxanne that put it on her. But Rhea looked like $1 million. And again, I just think she deserves all the kudos in the world for taking that apron bump on her back because Raquel did not hold back with that. Yeah.
Hey, Kairi Sane too, by the way, this accidental elimination of Asuka, another moment that really fell flat with a live audience. I don't know if they understood or if it was the open air stadium vibe. I don't know, but that felt like much more of a holy shit moment that than it was perhaps given credit for. That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think Kairi could be a really good, lovable babyface.
Absolutely,
and I think you just continue having Asuka bully her, and potentially at some point Io helps her friend out,
helps her get out of this abusive relationship. That's what we need to see. Yeah, Kairi Sane I think would be fantastic in that role, and I've loved the build up in the last few months of again that abusive relationship between the two of them.
And she's showing some comedic value, I think, as well. And Asuka's a great bully. Just one thing I noticed, and I want to bring it up now because I'll forget. Did you notice how a couple of times the wrestlers in the ring when they were sort of waiting for the next opponent to come, and Roman did it, I think Rhea might have done it as well, where they almost looked in shock before the music hit of the next person coming to the ring? That happened 3 or 4 times, right? And I was actually wondering maybe what we were seeing was slightly delayed, but both times it was before the countdown clock. And obviously that takes away the magic of wrestling because you're like, oh, here comes someone big. I think when Roman did it, Jacob Fatu was coming out. So yeah, that was just one little production thing that I noticed, and they weren't quite getting their timing right on the, oh my God, faces.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Good Women's Rumble match. Really enjoyed it. I am looking forward to watching it back. I think oftentimes it's like watching a movie with with a detailed plot line. You got to watch it a second time to really appreciate it. I think you also watch the Rumble a second time with the expectation gone of these surprises, which can often mask the way that we feel about the match, right?
Yes, and again, I think they really made Raquel tonight, or this afternoon, and that's really important because you need another. I'm so impressed with her, Dion. I can't speak highly enough of her, and I think she's done such a great job in this role that she's in. And I love Stephanie Vaquer, but I really hope she wins the title on Raw. But I think overall, a good women's rumble with a fantastic last 20 minutes.
Let's get into Gunther and AJ Styles.
Do we have to?
We absolutely have to. And look, I don't think we need to talk much about the match. It was what we expected it to be. I did like the way the match ended. Do you know what? There was a moment there when I thought to myself, I think we're going to have a bit of a reverse situation.
Yeah, AJ's going to tap and the ref's not going to see it.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. But not to happen. AJ passes out. Gunther wins the match. Again, great match. It's everything we expected it to be. Having him pass out and not tap out, I thought was an interesting creative choice. A little bit neither here nor there, I suppose. But now Gunther has retired Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles. Well, I'm not sure what's coming up for him at WrestleMania. I really have no idea at this stage.
Do you know where SummerSlam is?
I do not.
It's in Minneapolis. Do you know who's from Minneapolis?
I do not.
Brock.
Oh, of course.
Lesnar.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that's our SummerSlam match, Dion.
Yeah, maybe so.
And great point from Tommy Dreamer on their podcast, the Busted Open podcast. He said and he actually thinks the booking's great around Gunther because he said now he's the most hated man in wrestling. But when the time comes for someone to put their career on the line and Gunther loses, you've made that person. So you know, let's say in a 2 years time, and Gunther may have retired another two dudes like a Brock Lesnar and a Chris Jericho, in the time, and maybe it's a Cody Rhodes or it's a who knows? It's a Braun Breaker who puts his career on the line against Gunther. You give that win to that younger guy, and it makes them big time. Look, as far as this match goes, I really, really enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the storytelling. I had held up hope like you did for a majority of the match that potentially we were going to get a reverse of the match in Germany a couple of weeks ago where Gunther tapped and AJ thought he'd won. Thus, we didn't. Now, I haven't seen, before I came up with this plan, I had not heard what Triple H said, but it's pro wrestling. And when you retire in WWE, as far as they're concerned, you've retired from pro wrestling. Right. So,
yes.
So I don't really care what Triple H said. And I don't believe him either. I also think they have parted ways potentially on very, very good terms. And so this is my hope, and you've got me down on this given what Triple H said, but I believe that AJ Styles will win and lose the TNA title in the next 3 months. I believe he will wrestle in New Japan.
Yeah.
I also believe with WWE's blessing, he will wrestle one match in AEW this year at All In Wembley against either Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega.
Well, why would he need WWE's blessing? I mean,
But the reason I say that is because internally I've got this feeling that these two parties are on very, very good terms. They clearly are. And I wonder if there's some sort of backdoor contract in there or something where AJ gets a Hall of Fame induction and potentially coaxes Gunther out of remember how Macho Man was retired by the Ultimate Warrior and then 6 months later was wrestling against Jake the Snake Roberts because Jake the Snake had attacked his wife. I wonder if we'll get something at the back end of the year where AJ gets his win back and then gets inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2027. Look, I don't know. This is just me fantasy booking. But yeah, I just wonder if WWE have done a deal with AJ and they said, look, man, we want you as part of this family for the next 20 years. We want you to be involved in a Legends contract. We want you in our video games. We want to keep selling your merchandise. We want to have DVDs of you. We want this, we want that. And we will, and with our blessing, you can go to AEW for a match or two. So I think AJ Styles wrestles at Wembley. And I think it's against Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay. I think that's going to happen.
Well, the rumors mean nothing, right? They're just rumors. But he is heavily rumored to be entering a short-term contract with AEW beyond just one match. Who knows? And again, I don't feel like he...
Have you seen where have those come from? What source?
No, I haven't. That's why I'm saying rumors are just rumors. So who knows? And no one knows. 2 or 3 people on this globe know. But I could see him going to AEW, having a few matches. I can see him wanting to go to Japan, wanting to go to TNA, and I can also see Triple H saying, "Do what you want to do. It's none of our business. But you've always got a home here when you're ready for a Legends contract or a Hall of Fame induction." Now, it was interesting post-match where it looked like he was going to take the gloves off and presumably the wrestling boots after that, and then he put them back on.
That's a sign.
It kind of felt like he was going to renege on the wrestling retirement, because it is a wrestling retirement. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard him once say, "I will retire from WWE." If he had, we would have all been like, "Well, okay, well, he's going to lose."
He threw that nugget out last week where he said before the Punk match, "There's many guys in many locker rooms around the world that I plan on wrestling this year." And all of the AEW sickos have looked into that and thought he's wrestling Will Ospreay this year. And don't get me wrong, that match would potentially give me movement in the pants. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But yeah, you're right. They have been very, very quick to use the word wrestling. And look, let's see what happens on Tuesday with Monday Night Raw, which has been held back in the US. And I wonder if we'll get some form of AJ Styles appearance. I think if we don't get an AJ appearance on Raw, Dion, he's going to AEW, or he'll be on or something's going to happen. I don't know.
Look, the relationship will surprise me. Nothing will surprise. It won't surprise me if he works WrestleMania. Nothing will surprise me. I think this is a different scenario to John Cena's. What?
Yeah.
Cut it out.
Great match though. Great match.
Yeah, it was another great match, and one we probably don't need to spend a heck of a lot of time on. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Paint by numbers went exactly as expected. And as controversial a host as Saudi Arabia is, I do like the fact that Sami Zayn is like their guy, right? He's born in Canada, but of Syrian descent. Both his parents were Syrian refugees or immigrants, I should say, to Canada. I do like that they're his guy. I like that he really embraces that. Sami came close. Where to now for Sami Zayn? Do you think he's going to be in the title picture for much longer?
I was going to ask you that, and I think that he is going to be known as the guy with the worst timing in the history of professional wrestling, because his biggest momentum run was at the peak of the Bloodline storyline, right? He had that match with Roman at Elimination Chamber a few years ago in Montreal, came up short. When a lot of people felt you could have put him into the Cody Rhodes storyline and made a triple threat at Mania. So, it felt like if any year was going to be his year, it was going to be in the first 3 months of this year. And I still had an inkling that he may have found himself into a Rumble, and I think I would have been thinking he could win this. But does Sami Zayn need to be a world champion?
No.
And is there interest in him being? I feel like people are starting to get a bit tired of his gimmick. And you've mentioned AEW a bit. I just wonder if a change of scenery as El Generico might be good for Sami. I don't know. I just kind of feel like there's just something missing. And I don't know. I just, I never believed for 1 second he was winning that match.
No.
Not for 1 second.
No.
And they tried to give you a couple of moments to think that would happen. Like when the referee's about to stop the match and then Drew goes, "Hell no, bro. I'm throwing him in the ring and I'm going to finish this my way." I kind of want to come back to you on that in maybe 3 months' time to see where he plays out for WrestleMania. Because at the moment, I'm kind of indifferent to Sami.
Yeah, but he's still a great player, right? I think he's
a great piece.
We'll expect to see him at the Elimination Chamber. You would think. I can't see Sami Zayn's character would go, "Well, I gave it a go and I didn't nail it." But what happens from there if he loses at the Elimination Chamber, as you'd expect? He would. Now where?
I don't like him as a heel because he's kind of slimy and it doesn't really suit his character.
Maybe that's where they're going.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not getting an emotional connection to him, and that's when you know that maybe the character has outstayed its welcome.
Yeah. Okay, on to the men's Royal Rumble. I think the Globe predicted Roman Reigns. You did, I did. Roman won. Again, the IWC being the IWC, a lot of people poo-pooing it.
Who's been the alternative that online saying, like, what, Braun Breaker or something?
Yeah, well, I think there's an expectation that it should have been someone new, but you've got to work backwards from WrestleMania. If Braun Breaker's not going to be, going for a title, then he cannot win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
The plan for Roman would have been in place for quite some time. Look, the likes of a Braun Breaker and a Logan Paul or a whoever, people wanting Logan Paul to be WWE champion, I don't know. The pathway
like
is...
when I woke up this morning, there were 3 people that I thought could win today. Roman Reigns, Gunther, and LA Knight.
Yeah.
I didn't and the only reason I thought LA Knight is because you could have him turn, you could have Punk potentially turn heel and have Knight and Punk in a really awesome match at Mania. But then when I'm only saying that because I'm biased, because I think LA Knight deserves a moment, and I think Punk might be just a bit too big for LA Knight right now when you can make Roman Reigns LA Knight. And look, let's just see where all this plays out. I just get sick of people poo-pooing creative because it's not the guy they wanted to.
Look, it'll never end. This is just the way it is. I don't think Cody Rhodes was seriously in the conversation either, to be fair.
No, I didn't.
I don't feel that any of this, do we call them a new class? I don't think they're ready for the Rumble. I know you talked about Obafemi potentially being someone who could, but there seems to be a formula for these things, right? And formulaically, is that a word? It just wouldn't work having one of the younger guys.
Tell you what though, if you opened a book tomorrow, I think Obafemi would be favorite number 1 for the 2027 Royal Rumble.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What else did we have? The Iron Man was Javon Evans, who was around the 45-minute mark.
Cody lasted a while too, eh?
He did. Let's pull up some stats. I think we've got some stats here. Cody lasted for 36 minutes. Javon Evans for 40. I thought it was going to be Finn Balor. Wasn't even in the match. You thought it was going to be Penta. Penta came in quite late, which I was surprised by.
Hated that.
The final 4 was Roman, Randy Orton, Gunther, and Logan Paul.
I had Logan Paul in the final 4.
You had Gunther and Roman. We both had Cody and Jacob Fatu in the final 4. That didn't happen.
Got close.
Sami.
They were in the final 6, I think. So I hated the decision to put Logan in the final 4. Like, didn't hate the Randy decision. I thought that made sense. But I kind of feel like Cody would have been better in that spot, because with Logan there, like, you look at that final 4 and you know that Randy's probably not winning. Logan's definitely not winning. Gunther's unlikely to win. So when it got down to 4, it was like, Roman's the only guy. If you'd managed to sneak a Cody into that final 4, it still would have said, they're not going to do this again, are they? And I also think potentially you could have had LA Knight in the final 4 as well, because the crowd wanted him to win so bad. So I didn't like. What was the point of Logan being in the final 4? Like, there was nothing. There was no storyline development there. There was nothing that was developed further. There was no. Yeah, to me, it just seemed we've got this big YouTube star, we're going to put him in the final 4.
Yeah,
I know he's a great wrestler, but
that's fair. But I'm sure we can look back at all Rumbles, and very few of the final 4 would have someone who.
Hercules was in the final 4 one year, so you're 100% correct.
Well, it meant the win means more now, right? Because there's a championship shot. But many of the times, like I said, the final 4 was could have been just an absolute also ran that was amongst it. How good were the El Grande Americanos, though? I predicted
Loved
1 and 2. They were 12 and 13, I think they were. They were 12 and 13.
That was one of my favorite spots of the Rumble. I really, really enjoyed that. God, Ludwig Kaiser, spoiler alert, is magnificent at playing that character. Yeah. Really, really enjoy what he does.
The size of Chad Gable, though. Having the two of them next to each other, we're like, these are different El Grande Americanos. It's not even close.
Is that a Mania match, we reckon, potentially?
Do you know, I actually hope it is. Out? It could be a Friday Night SmackDown before Mania match.
Would it be El Grande versus Chad Gable, though, or do you think it's El Grande versus the OTC Grande Americano?
I reckon it'll be El Grande versus El Grande, with the winner being El Grande. It's got to be a mask versus mask match. What am I talking about? It has to be a mask versus mask match.
And we saw that with how the match, how all the spots played out. All right, just
crowd
a couple
was flat
of things
again. By the way, crowd was flat when the second El Grande came in. Again, the moment didn't feel big.
Yeah, a couple of disappointing things for me. Matt Cardona and Rusev both been chucked to the wayside. Felt they just don't put them in the match. Like have Kit Wilson in one of those spots. Does him no damage. Like Rusev looks like an absolute jabroni getting thrown out by Obafemi.
Agree, but makes Oba look that much bigger too, right?
It does, and I guess and Tommy, you know what? Tommy Dreamer made that point on the podcast today where he talked about those guys were in there to make Obafemi look good, and they did a fantastic job. So look, I totally get it, and of course Ray got thrown out by him as well.
Before you get on to your next point, please keep it in mind. But I thought it was interesting that Damian Priest put an end to Oba's rampage. I thought that was a good spot for Damian to be in. I think he got a bit of a rub out of that.
He did, because Oba was in the Brock spot, right, from 2020 when he was just eliminating them as they came in. Look, this was a Rumble, Dion, that I was engaged in, but at no time was I going, God, this is good. And I thought we were heating up when Brock came in, and then the next guy out was The Miz. And I'm just
leave The Miz alone. He's good people.
He is a great person, but I'm at the point with The Miz, Dion, where I'm like, oh. And then the next guy after that was Rey Fenix. And I know you need to put bodies out there for Brock to throw out. But again, what are we doing with Rey Fenix and Penta? You've got two absolute superstars here. And I don't know. It's just, it's me because I'm biased. And for me, the greatest tag team match I've ever seen that wasn't the Brainbusters and Heart Foundation at SummerSlam 89 was the steel cage match between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers at All In several years ago. It might have been Double or Nothing. I can't. It was one of those two events. And you have money in the Lucha Brothers. The Usos need a marquee match at Mania. Please, for the love of God, put those two boys together and just give them something meaningful.
I think you'd mentioned when we did our WrestleMania predictions, the possibility of the Lucha Brothers getting together. I feel at this stage they would have more value as a tag team, even if it's for a 3 or 4 month period through sort of WrestleMania season, than they do as singles.
You give Rey Fenix the Penta rub.
Yeah.
How many WWE fans actually know that Rey Fenix is Penta's legit brother? I don't think a lot of WWE fans know that. Like wrestling fans know that. Yeah. You know that. I know that. Smart fans know that. David Dunn knows that. Mitch knows that. But average Joe wrestling fan, like my wife and my kids, they love Penta. They have no idea who Rey Fenix is because he looks like a bum every time he's on SmackDown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a Rumble that I didn't hate. It wasn't 2015 bad. It wasn't 2016 bad. It wasn't 1995 bad, but it was just there.
Yeah.
And every time it started to get good, Trick Williams would get thrown out.
Yeah.
Or Brock would get thrown out. And I just I want to watch it again, but it left me frustrated. And if you're a WWE hater, I could see how you could shit all over that match.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm easily pleased with some of these, because, again, Royal Rumble 1989 poster back in there. How many Rumbles have there been? Is that 26, 30, 37,
40.
38, 39, 40? We've seen all 40.
40 next year.
Brad, we have seen some trash in those 40 years. So, and I've seriously been thinking about this. I wonder as a long-term WWE fan, if you are immune to, I don't want to say mediocrity, but if you're immune to, this is okay, because we've seen some stuff that is really not okay. And this was a pretty good Rumble. Could have had more surprises. Again, there could have been
like Giant Gonzalez. Giant Gonzalez trying to kill The Undertaker with chloroform was about as bad as it got. Actually, 93 is one of the worst Rumbles of all time.
I stopped watching for a few years through that period, and I'm glad I did.
I wonder, Dion, if in celebration of the 40 years of Royal Rumble, maybe me and you can put ourselves through watching all 40, and then we'll list our top 3 and bottom 3 Rumbles of all time.
Do you think I have 40 plus hours to spare watching Royal Rumbles? Look, I tell you what, if we schedule this,
we could watch 1 or 2 a week. We'll watch 1 or 2 a week. We'll do it together on Riverside, which is, spoiler alert, how we do this. And I think we watched them together, and then we can give them a rating out of 10. Look, I'm going to come up with a plan, and I think for the 40th anniversary of the Royal Rumble, we will rank our top 5 and maybe bottom 5 Rumbles of all time. And there'll be some tough watches in there. There'll be some real tough watches. But there'll also be the 1992 Rumble.
Yeah.
So,
and I've seen 1.25 of them already, so remember, fell asleep when. Yeah. So I also thought Gunther's involvement was a little bit disappointing.
It was mid.
Limps down the ring, as he should after being in the calf crusher by AJ Styles.
I did love the spot with Dragunov and Brock. I thought that was a cool spot.
Yep.
Like where Dragunov is just laying into Brock and Brock's like, rah, and then just throws him out the ring. That was a cool spot. Yep. And it did nothing to hurt Dragunov. He still looks like a badass as a small dude who was taking on Brock. I thought that was a really, really cool spot. And I thought Oba turning his back on Brock was a cool story to tell, that he turned his back on Brock for just a second and Brock threw him out. Yeah. And then the Yeet Man comes out and they shit all over Brock's elimination by just having him thrown out at the last second by we didn't see any of the build up to LA Knight and Cody throwing him out. That's a massive miss, man. Shame. This is Brock frickin' Lesnar, who is a threat to win. And these are the reasons why I was left frustrated.
Yeah. And again, I don't know what's next for Gunther now. I thought we might get some clues in this match. We just
got none.
We just didn't. Yeah. And that's fine. We've got, again, 10 weeks for the build. I am excited by Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, though. I think it's a really good matchup. Get those two big boppers in a ring. I want to see it.
You just need 5 minutes. You need just... do you remember the Goldberg Brock Mania match?
Back in 20...
there was the Mania with the Hardy Boys, where the Hardy Boys returned, I think. It was that Mania with the roller coaster. It had a great set. It was an amazing set.
Orlando, yeah.
I thought that was one of Brock Lesnar's and Goldberg's best matches they both had. It was just hard hitting. There was a little bit of stuff going on the outside. It's all it needed to be. Yeah. And that's all you need to do in Oba and Brock is just two dudes beating the crap out of each other for 5 minutes, and then Obafemi gets the win. That's all it needs to be. And it can be a fluke pinfall. It can be whatever it is, catches him in something and gets the win. But I'm excited for that. That, again, is a match you can open up a Mania night 1 or 2 with.
Yeah. Last point I want to make, I'm not sure if you've got anything else. Post-Rumble, and I know you missed this because you had to jump in the car and get across to this UFC event. 2 a.m. the show ended. The pyro was incredible.
My wife told me it took 16 minutes.
I would say it would have been legitimate 4 or 5 minutes. I'm telling you, it was a spectacular pyrotechnic display with the drones as well. I'm not sure that it occurred live. If it did, you imagine being in a hotel room in Riyadh. And 2 a.m. it sounds, Trump's here as World War III started. That's what it would have sounded like. I'd like to think they filmed it the night before at a more reasonable hour and just put it on there. There were no shots of the live crowd and the fireworks. You saw a bit of the staging at some stage, but it was absolutely spectacular. You got to go back and watch this thing. Yeah.
The only other thing I have before we go, Dion, is again, I think this is another bouquet to creative. They protected Carmelo Hayes, and he has been poorly booked from the jump. Why have him in the Rumble if he's just going to have a spot where he's thrown out in 2 or 3 minutes? So I think that's really good. That like it's a very patient decision because Mello's over at the moment. I think putting him in the Rumble would have been cool, especially if he had a trick spot. But I think it's a really good idea. Sometimes if you don't, like a Finn Balor, right? If you don't need someone in the Rumble and you have plans for them creatively, why put them in if they're just going to get tossed out in like a 3 or 4 second spot? So I think that showed restraint from WWE not to put him in the Rumble to get the pop out of it. And hopefully they have really big things. And I think Mello and Trick could be a hell of a match at WrestleMania in a couple of months' time. So, I think sometimes we forget about giving credit to creative when they don't make decisions, if that makes sense. And I think it's restraint to not put a guy in the Rumble who's one of your top 20, 30 guys when what's he going to gain out of it? So unless he'd been the Iron Man when you had other, I think that was a win for creative, was protecting Mello, which I think is really important because he's really starting to get some steam.
Yeah, he is. But that said, he also could have come in at number 3 and been eliminated in the final 4. So yeah. But yes, he's on a tear, and I'm really liking what they're doing with Mello. I think I'd probably give the show maybe like a B-, which I guess would be a 6 out of 10. I think it was still pretty solid. I am going to go back and watch both Rumble matches. We're on the road to WrestleMania, man, and I don't know what's on the other end of that road just yet. What would you give it?
I'm the same as you. I really want to watch the Women's Rumble again because I feel like my grade for that would increase. And I wonder if my criticisms around Jordynne Grace would change a little bit. I just think if she's going to be Jade's next opponent, not necessarily have the Lash Legend spot, because I think Lash kind of needed that in a way to separate her a bit from Nia, because it kind of makes her look like a jabroni.
Yeah.
But I feel like Jordynne just needed something else, like maybe a couple more eliminations. Why couldn't I know that they're setting up potentially Natty and Becky at some point, but like why not have like Jordynne throw out both Natty and Becky while they're like, just give her a big spot, or she could have thrown out one of the bigger wrestlers. I don't know. But I really want you to, when you go back and watch that, I want you to tell me what you think of the last 20 minutes of the Women's Rumble, because my initial reaction, and bear in mind we're now 16, 17 hours, 12 hours removed from watching it, I thought the back end of that match was as good as a Women's Royal Rumble has been. So I thought it was really, really good.
Well, I'll tell you now, I loved it. Yeah. But again, let's see on the second watching. Yeah. Very good. Man, Royal Rumble's out of the way. Again, the road to WrestleMania. I'm going to Vegas, Brad. I'm going to Vegas. Dion. I'm starting to get excited. All right. Well, folks, if you want to learn a little bit more about us, please head along to our website, www.thatsweetpop.com. Episodes drop right here on YouTube, Mondays at 8 p.m. Of course, you can catch us through your little ear holes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube Music, or on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All right, Brad, you need to have some sleep. Don't watch the Rumble tonight. You got to be fresh for this thing. Fresh,
yes, sir.
Fresh, keen eyes. And we'll be
as
back
my
next
mic
week.
just gets eliminated.
All right, folks, thanks for sticking around. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Throw us an email, send us some comments through our socials. We hope you enjoyed this show. But until then, we're going to see you next week.